Beloved soul, welcome into this sacred and appointed moment. You did not find these words by chance, and heaven did not allow your eyes to rest upon this message without divine purpose. The angels have been watching over your steps, and today they are speaking directly into the deepest chambers of your heart. There is something they need you to understand, something that will not bring confusion, but clarity, something that will not bring fear, but freedom. The message is this: if two people are truly meant to be together, there is one pattern that never fails. It does not matter how far apart their lives have taken them, how unexpected their meeting felt, or how complicated the journey between them has become. This one thing always appears first, and heaven wants you to understand it fully before doubt, impatience, or emotional pain causes you to misread what God is doing in your love story. Before we go further, I want you to move in faith right now. Type in the comments boldly, "I believe in God's plan for my love life." This is not simply a comment, it is a declaration of surrender. When you speak these words, you open your spirit to receive the divine wisdom heaven is preparing to pour into you. Faith is not passive. Faith is activated through your words and your agreement with truth. And if this is your first time here, beloved, welcome home. This is Angel's Whisper. This space was created for divine messages, angelic insight, and prophetic understanding for souls who are navigating the deepest questions of love, purpose, and destiny. I invite you to subscribe, turn on your notifications, and remain connected, because every message shared in this sacred space is designed to guide your heart closer to God's truth and God's perfect plan for your life. Now, beloved, the angels are speaking with urgency. Most people carry a picture in their hearts of what destiny is supposed to look like. They imagine it arriving softly. They imagine two people meeting, smiling, and knowing immediately that everything has finally fallen into place. They expect love to feel instant, easy, and safe from the very beginning. They believe that if something is truly meant to be, it will feel comfortable the moment it begins. But beloved, real destiny does not work like that. Real destiny, the kind that is written by the hand of God, does not enter your life quietly and leave everything undisturbed. Real destiny enters your life and shakes it. It does not bring peace first. It brings disruption. It brings awareness. It brings a divine invitation to change. Write this in the comments as an act of faith. I trust God's process, even when it shakes me. When two people are genuinely meant for each other, heaven does not rush them into love before they are ready to sustain it. Instead, God in His wisdom creates distance. He pulls them apart. He challenges what they believe about love. He places them in seasons of discomfort and inner searching. He breaks the illusions they have been living inside, illusions they may not have even known were there. And beloved, this is not cruelty. This is preparation. God does not create distance between destined hearts to destroy them. He creates distance to develop them. He does not allow separation to punish them. He allows separation to prepare them. If you believe that God is working even in the painful seasons of your love story, type in the comments right now, "I believe God is preparing me." The angels want you to understand something that many people miss. Before two souls who are truly destined can come together in covenant, they must first be changed individually. They must be reshaped, refined, and made ready. If God brought two unhealed people into permanent union before that inner work was done, even with genuine love between them, they would wound each other deeply. They would repeat cycles. They would carry their unfinished pain into the relationship and slowly damage what could have been something sacred and lasting. So heaven, in its mercy and wisdom, steps in first. It says not yet. Not because the love is wrong, but because the timing is not yet aligned with the fullness of what God has designed. Beloved, the first sign of a connection that carries divine weight is not peace. It is recognition. When two people who are truly meant for each other meet, something stirs inside them before the mind has time to explain it. It is not always calm. It is not always comfortable. It may not even feel certain. Yet there is something undeniable in that moment. Something deep within the spirit says, "I have seen this soul before." You may not feel secure around them yet. You may not feel ready, but you feel seen in a way that unsettles you. You feel known in a way that reaches past the surface of who you present to the world and touches something you have kept hidden, even from yourself. And that depth, that uncomfortable recognition, is often the first fingerprint of destiny. Type this in the comments as a declaration of discernment. I will not mistake discomfort for the wrong person. This is why, beloved, many people who are truly meant to end up together rarely stay together at the beginning. The angels see this pattern again and again. Two hearts that carry a real connection are separated early. And that separation is not accidental. It is intentional. One person may still be carrying wounds from the past that have not been surrendered to God. One may be afraid to open their heart fully and be vulnerable. One may not yet understand their own worth, or may still be loving from a place of fear rather than wholeness. Sometimes both people are still unfinished, and unfinished people, even with beautiful intentions, can deeply hurt each other. So God, in His faithfulness, creates space. He ordains a season of separation not to end the story, but to deepen it. Isaiah 43:19 reminds us, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." What looks like an empty wilderness in your love life right now may be the very place where God is quietly making a way. What feels like a dry season may be the ground where your covenant love is being planted. Declare this boldly in the comments. God is making a way even in my wilderness. Beloved, the angels also want you to understand what happens inside you during this season of separation. The pain of losing or being separated from someone whose connection felt unlike anything you have known before is a different kind of pain. It is not only sadness, it carries confusion. It carries a sense of losing direction. You do not simply miss the person. You feel as though something essential within yourself has gone quiet. And that is because destined connections are not tied to the ego. They are tied to growth. When such a person steps out of your daily life, the absence does not just leave a relational void. It creates an inner mirror. It forces you to look at yourself with honesty. It pushes you to face what you have been avoiding for a long time. You begin to see your fear of being abandoned. You recognize your habit of seeking validation from others to feel worthy. You become aware of how much of yourself you give away in order to keep people close. You begin to notice where you have not been taking responsibility for your own emotional needs and your own healing. These realizations are uncomfortable, but they are necessary. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your paths." When you submit your emotions to God rather than following only what you feel, He straightens your understanding. He removes the blindness that pain can create. He shows you what the situation truly is rather than what you fear it might be. Write this in the comments as your commitment to inner work. I will look inward before I look outward. Something else happens during this separation that the angels want you to notice, beloved, even without communication. Even in the silence, even when logic tells you to move on and there is no contact at all, something inside you quietly begins to shift. You become more selective about who you allow into your spirit. You begin to be more honest about what you need and where your boundaries must be. Things you once accepted without question begin to feel misaligned. Situations you once tolerated without resistance begin to feel draining. You begin to desire depth instead of surface-level connection. You begin to crave something real instead of something merely comfortable. And often, you do not even realize that this growth is connected to that one soul who stepped into and then out of your life. But the change began the moment they entered. They acted as a trigger. They started a process within you that heaven intended all along. This kind of connection does not produce obsession. It produces reflection. You do not lose yourself thinking of them endlessly. Instead, you begin to think about your life, your patterns, your habits, and your choices. You begin to ask yourself deeper questions. Why do I love the way that I do? Why does closeness feel frightening to me? Why have I settled for less than I truly deserve? These questions, beloved, are not signs of weakness. They are signs that transformation is in progress. And that transformation is one of the clearest marks of a connection that was ordained by heaven. Declare this in the comments with courage. I welcome the growth that comes through pain. Destined connections work in ways that are not obvious on the surface. A person may have stepped away from your daily life, but their impact remains woven into who you are becoming. They change how you see love. They raise your standards not only for those who pursue you, but for your own behavior and your own self-respect. They teach you that love is not only about being together. It is also about becoming whole on your own. Over time, you may find that you are no longer willing to repeat old cycles. You stop chasing people who are unable to meet you emotionally. You stop ignoring warning signs just to feel chosen. You begin to value peace, honesty, and mutual effort in a way that feels non-negotiable. And that growth, beloved, feels natural, even though it was born in the soil of pain. That is how you know the connection carried meaning that God placed there intentionally. 1 Corinthians 14:33 reminds us, "For God is not the author of confusion, but of peace." If a connection brought you to a place of deeper peace within yourself, even through the pain of separation, then that connection carried a divine fingerprint. It was not accidental. It was not wasted. It was purposeful. Type this in the comments as a seal of agreement. God uses every connection to grow me. Beloved, the angels are now speaking about what happens on both sides of this separation. Because destiny does not work on one person alone. While you are apart, life is shaping both of you in different ways, often through discomfort, often through lessons that could not have been learned any other way. One person learns boundaries. They learn how to say no without guilt. They learn to stop giving more than they receive. They learn that love does not require self-sacrifice to be real. They learn that choosing themselves is not selfish. It is necessary. The other person learns accountability. They learn that silence can cause real harm. They learn that avoiding emotions does not dissolve them. They learn that actions carry consequences, even when intentions were pure. They learn that connection requires responsibility, not just feeling. One person learns self-respect. They stop accepting uncertainty as evidence of love. They stop waiting indefinitely for clarity that never arrives. They realize that consistency is not too much to ask for. The other learns emotional courage. They learn to sit with discomfort instead of running from it. They learn to face vulnerability instead of escaping into distance. One learns to stop chasing. They recognize that love cannot be forced. The other learns to stop running. They discover that distance does not protect them from growth. It only delays it. Both people are changing, but neither can see the full picture yet, and this is intentional. If they saw everything too soon, the growth would stop. The unknown creates the space that transformation requires. Psalm 37:23 says, "The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord." Even the steps of separation, even the steps through confusion and waiting are ordered by God when two souls are truly under His covenant design. Write this boldly in the comments. God is ordering every step, even the painful ones. The angels also want to speak to you about something deeper, beloved. Before destined people can truly reunite, illusions must fall, and they fall slowly, sometimes painfully. Illusions like love should never be difficult. Illusions like if someone truly cared, they would never have left. Illusions like love must be earned through suffering. Illusions like another person is meant to complete what is broken in me. These ideas feel comforting in the moment, but they quietly damage real love. They create dependence, they create fear, they produce expectations that no human being can fulfill. And so life strips them away, not gently, but through silence, through distance, through disappointment, through long, quiet evenings when you are left alone with your own thoughts and there is nowhere to hide from what is true. You begin to see yourself without the filters. You begin to recognize your patterns. You begin to understand where in the past you abandoned your own needs in order to keep someone close. You learn that love is not designed to save you from yourself. You learn that another person cannot fill the places inside you that have not yet been healed. You learn that real connection begins with wholeness, not with emptiness reaching out to emptiness. Declare this in the comments as a declaration of healing. I am becoming whole before I become united. There comes a moment in every genuine season of growth, beloved, when something quietly shifts inside you. You stop needing them to respond. You stop looking for signs that they are returning. You stop waiting for a message that will make you feel complete again. You stop holding your breath for them to choose you so that you can finally feel whole. And that moment, beloved, is not bitterness. It is peace. It is the peace that comes when surrender is complete. This is the moment when destiny begins to move again. Not because you tried harder, not because you pursued more aggressively, but because you finally released the need for a particular outcome. And that release, that full surrender to God's will above your own desires, is when heaven is freed to act. Real love is not dependence. Real love is a choice. When both people are able to stand fully on their own, when love becomes a genuine desire rather than a survival tool, alignment begins to move. If they return different. They return more aware, more honest, more capable of something deeper and more lasting than what existed before. And if they do not return, the lesson remains fully intact. You are not the same person who entered the connection. You are stronger. You are clearer. You are more grounded in your identity, your worth, and your faith. You have integrated what heaven needed you to learn. And that is the truth of destined connections. They are not about possession. They are about transformation. They are about awakening. They are about redirecting you toward a deeper, more conscious, more God-honoring way of living and loving. Type this now in the comments as your declaration of surrender. I release the outcome and trust God's design. Beloved, the angels want to speak to you now about the kinds of lessons that destined connections are specifically sent to teach, because not every connection is the same. Not every destined meeting carries the same purpose. Some connections enter your life to break cycles of pain and confusion that have been passed quietly from one generation to the next. These are the relationships that expose patterns you absorbed long before you had any choice in the matter. They reveal where love was confused with suffering, where attachment was confused with safety, where silence was confused with peace. These connections force you to see what you have been carrying for years that was never truly yours to carry. They bring buried pain to the surface so that it can finally be healed instead of silently repeated in every relationship you enter. Other connections are sent to teach you self-love when you have been neglecting yourself for far too long. They mirror back to you exactly how you have been allowing yourself to be treated. Through them, you see where you settle, where you make yourself smaller, where you abandon your own needs simply to keep someone nearby. They awaken you to the truth that love should never cost you your dignity, your voice, or your sense of self. These lessons are painful, but they are necessary. Without them, you might have continued giving everything and asking for almost nothing in return. Matthew 6:33 reminds us, "Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you." When you seek God above the connection, above the pain, above the desire to have things resolved on your timeline, God adds what is truly needed. He adds wisdom. He adds discernment. He adds the clarity that no human voice can give you. Write this in the comments as your act of priority. I seek God first above every connection. Some destined people awaken emotional depth within you, beloved. They make you feel things you had quietly numbed yourself to. They remind you that you are capable of deep care, of vulnerability, of genuine and open-hearted connection. Even when they leave you more open than you were before they arrived. Others redirect your entire path. Meeting them changes the choices you make, the standards you set, and the direction your life begins to move in. They do not stay because staying was never their assignment. Their role was to prepare you for what comes next, to make room for what God is bringing. And that does not make these connections meaningless, beloved. It makes them sacred. Sacred things are not always permanent. They are important not because of how long they remain, but because of what they awaken inside you, because of what they prepare you to become. Declare this with faith in the comments. Every connection God allows carries sacred purpose. The angels are now speaking something that many people find difficult to receive. Beloved, real destiny does not exist to protect your comfort. Comfort, as warm as it feels, can keep you locked in familiar patterns even when those patterns are slowly destroying your peace. Destiny exists to protect your potential. It will allow your heart to be broken before it allows your soul to quietly disappear. It will remove people from your life before it allows you to lose yourself completely in the effort of keeping them. In the moment, this feels unbearable. You replay every conversation. You question your worth. You wonder what you could have done differently. You feel as though something you trusted has abandoned you. But beloved, time reveals what pain in the moment cannot explain. With distance, you begin to see how staying would have held you trapped in an older and smaller version of yourself. You begin to understand that the leaving, as much as it broke something in you, forced a growth you were quietly avoiding. Psalm 34:18 tells us, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." God does not stand far off while you grieve. He draws near. He does not rush past your pain. He sits with you inside it. He heals what is broken. He restores what was taken. Type this in the comments as your declaration of healing. God is close to me in this pain, and He is healing me. Beloved, before destined people can reunite, the angels say there is one truth that appears again and again. When two people are truly meant for each other, they are nearly always required to grow separately first. They are separated so that illusions can fall away completely. They are allowed to walk through seasons of discomfort so that they can be stripped of fantasies about love, about each other, and about themselves. They are confronted with their wounds, their fears, their unhealed habits, and the places where they have been avoiding responsibility for their own wholeness. This season is not a punishment, beloved. It is a sacred interval, a space carved out by heaven itself, a crucible where God refines you not to harm you but to prepare you. During this time you learn boundaries, not as walls to keep everyone away, but as clear lines that protect your energy and honor your worth. You learn self-respect that does not depend on another person's approval, but rises quietly and firmly from knowing whose you are. You learn how to love deeply, genuinely, and fully without losing yourself in the process. You learn that being chosen by someone else means nothing if you have not first chosen yourself. You learn that wholeness cannot come from outside you. It must be cultivated from within. Proverbs 18:22 says, "He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord." The man who is truly sent by God will not find you incomplete and use your incompleteness. He will find you becoming, and he will be becoming too. Two people being made ready by the same God, for the same covenant, in the same season of preparation. Write this in the comments with full confidence. I am being made ready for what God has written for me. Beloved soul, the angels are showing me now that one of the greatest signs of God's love for you is visible in the very separations that have hurt you most. Sometimes what felt like rejection was divine protection. Sometimes what felt like loss was heaven's mercy saving you from years of confusion, compromise, and quiet heartbreak. God does not remove people from your life carelessly. When He closes a door, it is because He has already seen what is behind it. He has already seen what staying would have cost you. And in His love, He chose to protect you, even when that protection felt like pain. Sometimes God removes what is not yours by exposing the truth. You discover things you did not know before, divided loyalties, hidden patterns, secrets that were slowly shaping the foundation of the relationship without your knowledge. When these things come to light, beloved, do not ignore them. Ephesians 5:13 says, "But everything exposed by the light becomes visible." When heaven exposes something, it is not sent to shame you. It is sent to free you. See every revelation as God's hand protecting your heart and redirecting your steps. Other times God removes counterfeits by closing doors quietly. Communication fades. The person steps back. Circumstances shift in ways that feel unexpected and even cruel. It may hurt deeply in the moment. But Romans 8:28 reminds us, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. A closed door, beloved, is never rejection. A closed door is protection. It is redirection. It is heaven making room for something greater. Declare this in the comments as your shield of faith. I trust that closed doors are God's protection over my destiny. When two people who are truly meant for each other come back into each other's lives, the angels say that something feels quietly but unmistakably different. It does not arrive loudly or dramatically. It does not demand attention or create confusion. Instead, it feels steady. Your spirit relaxes before your mind even has the words to explain why. There is less tension, less fear about what might go wrong, less need to protect yourself the way you once did. What is present instead is honesty, the kind that feels natural and unforced, the kind that does not require explanations or defensive walls. The connection feels calmer because both people have already faced their own chaos separately. It feels deeper because they have looked honestly at their own shadows and chosen to grow despite what they found there. It feels clearer because the illusions that once distorted the connection have already been broken. It is not perfect. It will never pretend to be perfect, but it is aware. There is consciousness in how words are chosen, in how silence is honored, in how boundaries are respected without resentment. There are no games, no hidden intentions, no need to test or manipulate. There is simply recognition, beloved, like meeting a truth you have always known, only this time with strength, maturity, and faith walking alongside you. Type this boldly in the comments. I will not settle for connection that lacks peace and clarity. And yet, beloved, the angels must speak a hard truth now. Sometimes, even with all of this growth and all of this preparation, those two destined people do not return to each other. And this is one of the most difficult truths the heart must learn to hold. Yet the connection was still real. It was not imagined. It was not a mistake. It was not time that was lost or love that was wasted. Not every destined connection is designed to last forever in the same form. Some are designed to exist only long enough to change you completely. Some enter your life, shake everything loose, and then leave once their sacred purpose has been fulfilled. And that is still a gift, beloved, even when it does not feel like one.